Welcome back everybody, this is your boy Zero to Jail here with another video. If you're new to the channel, if you hit that subscribe and bell button, you'll get a notification every time I upload a video. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. I appreciate your support. Hopefully I'm making good enough content. If you guys don't know anything about me, I decided for every video that I'm going to do now, I'm going to just share a little bit of something about my life and help personalize it a little bit, other than the fact that I do have cars. Hopefully it's not too boring. But I was born and raised in San Francisco, been a native here pretty much throughout my whole life. My parents immigrated here from South Korea about 40 years ago. Grew up in a very rough, turbulent atmosphere. Ran away from home when I was 12 years old. Just wasn't very happy, didn't have a very happy family life, and one thing led to another and I ended up running away. And hanging out with the people I was with, I actually ended up joining a gang and did that for like 3 years, in and out of juvie or juvenile hall. It was a rough time then. This was early 90s, early to mid 90s. And I was only about 12, 13 years old at the time. So as you can imagine, I was a little young buck getting caught up in a lifestyle that I really had no idea what I was getting involved in. So my parents ended up moving me to Indiana. Well, actually we all moved to Indiana around 1995, 1996, and it was there that I kind of got my life back together. My parents sent me to this Christian school there where I did not get along with pretty much 90% of the people there. But there was a teacher there. Her name was Miss Nicholas, and she was like the I can't even say this word, quintessential. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. But she was just the epitome of this sweet older nun slash elderly woman that, I don't know, I mean, she saw something about me that was different. Maybe the fact that I would go to classes in midsummer or early summer and with a leather jacket to prove a point that I was cool and badass, which I was not, by the way. But I think she saw beyond that and saw a kid that was just in need of direction and love, and she ended up providing that very thing that I needed. And that came in the form of her just helping me out with projects that we do, spending time with me after class, helping me to understand the material, asking me about my life and what had come of me up to that point. And she ended up inviting me to church. By the way, this was a Baptist school that had a joint church attached to it. But anyway, she ended up inviting me to church, and I started going there on like Wednesday nights. Not to the youth group, but to the main service, and like 99% of people there were Caucasian. I'm like this Korean kid, so I felt very out of place. It's not like today's times where people are very accepting, I think, of diversity. Back then, and especially in the Midwest, it was a little bit more rough in terms of like racism and discrimination. So I didn't feel in my element, but I went anyway because of Miss Nicholas. And so I would go in. I just remember hours of speaking with her in the parking lots after service, where I would help her carry her books back to her car, and I would ask her questions like about dinosaur and the Bible and stuff like that. And sorry for all you non-Christian folk. I mean, this is just my life and how it happened. But she connected with me in a way that I have not been connected to up to that point. Most teachers, you know, they don't really give you the time of the day. At least that was my experience up to that point. But with her, she just made the extra effort with me, and I don't know where my life would be if it wasn't for her making that grand impression on my life at that young age. So one thing led to another, and she started inviting me to the youth service, and then on Sunday service, and then one thing led to another, and then I pretty much accepted this whole Christian thing that she was representing to me, and I did it wholeheartedly. This is not like a conversion or like a sermon, but I ended up, as soon as I accepted this, I started sending all my old friends in San Francisco like Bibles and Christian material tracts, letters about God and stuff like that. And keep in mind, this is before This is before the time of email and the World Wide Web. Actually, it was right around that time, but it was very, very still new. Oh, by the way, this is my favorite taqueria place in San Francisco. Gordo Taqueria. If you haven't been there, they got a few locations in the city and outside the city, and I've been eating there ever since I was a kid. Best burritos, the way they do the meat. If you guys are ever in town, go stop by, get a super burrito. Very good. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a little bit of background information on my life and kind of how I turned out the way I am. I mean, I have a lot to thank for her. I mean, I still keep in touch with her to this day. I reconnected with her after like decades. I contacted the old school because I wanted to find her and thank her. And sometimes in life, you don't really realize and appreciate the good influences that you've had. I guess you can recognize the bad influences too, but you don't really desire to connect with them for the most part. But with her, I wanted to reconnect with her now that I have my own family, my own business here in the Bay Area. Just wanting to express that sense of gratitude for everything she did for me in those early stages. Because as teenagers, I think we're very impressionable overall. A lot of times I think people just dismiss teenagers. I think there was one podcaster I heard say, hey, all teenagers and young guys should be locked up until they're like 30. Because they're just, I mean, you see the news and the media, they're the ones usually causing the most trouble. And I agree. I mean, I was one of those kids, but it's really from a lack of direction, a lack of fatherhood that most teenagers and boys act out the way they do. And if you have like just a Miss Nicholas in their life, if you have someone that's just spends a little bit of extra effort to reach out to the people like that, you know, most teenagers they got a hard shell, but they got a super soft interior. And if you can just penetrate that barrier and come at them with a sense of compassion, there's a really good chance that that teenager can turn out good. And as teenagers, they are really impressionable until about the age of 20. Once they're like 20, they're kind of set. So I feel like for me, if I never had that interaction with Miss Nicholas, that compassion, that just kindness, who knows how I might have turned out. I might have turned out like into a really bad dude, but yeah, I just have a lot to thank for that. So anyways, that's my little bit of background information, just to kind of help personalize these videos a little bit more other than cars, because I know I don't make the greatest of car content, but this whole personal sharing thing is just for you guys to get to know me a little bit more. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I've had the GT500 now for about 2 months. The first month it was pretty much in the detail shop getting PPF and ceramic. And then we got hit here in the Bay Area with like 3-4 weeks of just straight pouring rain. I mean, it was insane. Like, trees were falling down, our streets were flooding, my garage almost got flooded. All my kids were out there in the front. One of my kids actually used a vacuum cleaner to try to suck up all the water and totally messed it up, but God bless his heart, he was doing what he could. He's only 9. But yeah, we get hit with a lot of rain, and with the car being newly ceramic and with the carbon fiber wheels, I just didn't take it out. So I was waiting for the day, the weather to clear up a lot. But eventually it got better, and I was able to start taking it out. It only had 9 miles on the odometer when I got it, so I had to baby it. Now I got about 500 miles on it, and been able to take it out. Took it to Cars and Coffee and did just a few drives here and there around the city. And my initial impressions, to be honest, I was taking it very easy on the pedal, just because I was still breaking it in. I wasn't like too impressed, considering that I had just come from the GT350R, and I think a lot of it was the fact that it wasn't a manual. I mean, it's got the DCT and it's got the upshift, downshifting, and that's actually pretty cool feature about the car. But my initial impressions, I wasn't too impressed, but I was getting a lot of attention in that car. Now with the 350R, I did get a lot of attention with that, but with this 500, it's on another level. I just gotta say, like, the people coming up to me, the kids walking across the street looking at it, and you just want to rev the engine. And then when I started doing that, and I started kind of giving it more throttle as I was breaking in the mileage, man, this car sounds like a beast. I mean, the 350 sounds good. The Voodoo, the 5.2 flat plane crank, it sounds good. It's very unique. The Predator cross plane crank sounds almost similar, but it's deeper and meaner. And when you just put the pedal to the metal, it sounds like a whole freaking animal, man. Like, it's like wow. And it's heavy. I think they said this car was like 300 pounds more heavier than the 350R, but because of the supercharger, and it's got like 200 something more horsepower than the 350, you don't really feel that heaviness. It's very responsive. The steering feels very responsive, and it picks up and steers very nicely. So those are like my initial impressions on the car, that's having had the car for not that long. And I'm hoping to kind of figure out exactly what more this car has to offer. I mean, I know there's a lot more, and as I break it in, once I pass the 1,000-mile mark, I hope to track it and actually head out to the Ford Track Attack that Ford offers every time you buy a GT500. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm gradually starting to like the car for what it is. I still have the opportunity to drive the 350R because it's in my nephew's hands and he owns it now, so I can still take it out, and I have driven it, and it's still a lot of fun. So all you 350 owners out there, you're not missing that much, and you still got a great car. For the 500 people, give me some time to break in more and to enjoy this car for what it is and what it has to offer. I'm still learning all the new features, so I'm not a 100% gearhead, but I do love cars, and just with life and the way everything is right now, I haven't been able to do much with it. So yeah, those are my initial impressions. So thanks for stopping by, appreciate it, take care.